Welcome to Caneswear.
New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
We are back. It is basically the Square Circle Digest. AEW Dynamite goes off the air, and we are here live talking AEW Dynamite, the go-home show, Forbidden Door, this Sunday, June 30th. And it started out, MJF heads to the ring in Buffalo. Out comes the hometown boy, Daniel Garcia. Sorry about that. I already got a little tickle in my throat. That's not a good thing. So Daniel Garcia comes out, and this show was a little bit confusing to me as a go-home show for Forbidden Door. And so Daniel Garcia comes out, interrupts him, says he's going to do something that nobody's ever done, and talks good about MJF. MJF thanks him and then says, you know, for All In, how about MJF versus Daniel Garcia? Daniel Garcia contemplating it. Will Ospreay's music hits. So Ospreay comes out and, you know, kudos to the Buffalo, you know, hometown boy. They're building up Daniel Garcia here in this segment. And he says that he's going to win at Forbidden Door. He's going to have all the gold. And next week on Dynamite, he will give him a shot at all the gold, one-upping MJF, who had just issued the challenge. Of course, Daniel Garcia accepts, and Will Ospreay leaves, kind of staring down MJF, who's standing in the corner of the ring, and he leaves. Daniel Garcia goes to talk to MJF. MJF then just says, you know what, focus on next week. It's going to be a big deal for you, and leaves. So now, question goes is, one, I get it. It's Buffalo, New York. It's Daniel Garcia's hometown. All this to build him up to verse Will Ospreay. He never accepted the challenge, the all-in match with MJF. So where are they leading to MJF Will Ospreay? It's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. This Forbidden Door build has been a little bit different and a little bit weirder than it had been in the past, because it's always been a lot of New Japan versus AEW. This one, not a whole lot of that. They did add some of the New Japan stars into the match and into some of the show, but then also they brought out some guys that I don't know if they're going to be involved or not. This show was a little bit confusing from that standpoint. A very entertaining show inside the ropes. A little confusing, the storylines. So Garcia gets through all that, and I guess that whole thing was to kind of build up Daniel Garcia as the hometown boy in Buffalo. Returns home. He gets talked up by the two or the three faces of AEW, and MJF and Ospreay in the ring. And then at the end of the segment, they cut to Swerve in the back, the third face of AEW to me. And he says to Will Ospreay, you're trying to carry the weight of two worlds on your back. And that's not going to happen. So now in that first segment, you've got Daniel Garcia, the Buffalo hometown kid, MJF, Will Ospreay, and Swerve Strickland, your faces of AEW. And also the two that will match up at Forbidden Door in the main event, Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, who will also be tag team partners, and we'll discuss that here in a minute. But I'm not sure where they're heading with this. Where does MJF fit in at Forbidden Door? I mean, yes, he's taking on Hechicero, but does he fit into the world title match? As I said on the Squared Circle Digest, if you haven't seen that yet, check it out right here on the Stanley Media House Network YouTube channel. Look, it's in Long Island, New York. MJF is already on the card against Hechicero. I don't know that you want Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay beating one or the other. I think you have MJF interject into the match and you make a three-way at All In. Or since All In and All Out are 2 weeks apart, maybe you set up one match, and the winner of that versus MJF at All Out. So now you've made a main event for All In and a main event for All Out. But I do not believe that Ospreay and Swerve at Forbidden Door has to have a winner. And then get to some of the other matches that happened on the card. There was a 6-man with Blackpool Combat Club. It was just a lot of fluff. It was a good, decent tag, 6-man tag, but it was just to get to Moxley and Naito battling out to set up for their match at Forbidden Door. And then also Danielson and Takagi to get into face-to-face to set up their match at Forbidden Door. So again, you're using a 6-man tag to set up for the two. Very interested to see where they go with Blackpool Combat Club, because I don't think Bryan Danielson stays in the group that much longer. And you've seen Claudio last week after losing to Pac. He gets upset about it. So I think you're going to start seeing some changes in the Blackpool Combat Club. Wheeler Yuta took another beating to his head, which is why Bryan Danielson ran down to ringside to stop Takagi from doing that. And then remember, Danielson Takagi is for the Owen Hart tournament. It is the first round. The winner will advance on in that tournament. There's no way that Danielson does not win that match. Backstage, they have the Elite EVPs, Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. They talk about they are going to add a wild card into the Owen Hart tournament, which I believe is going to be the opponent of Jeff Jarrett, if I remember correctly. And they said that they will run basically AEW, because the Young Bucks have the tag team golds. Jack Perry will win the TNT title, and the wild card person will end up winning the Owen Hart tournament, which in turn gets a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. So they will have that. And Okada, of course, is your international champion. So they will have it all. Right as soon as they cut that to the back, the Acclaimed heads to the ring, and they run down the EVPs, talking how they just beat them. Billy Gunn's talking. Out comes the EVPs and Okada. The three of them challenged the three of the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass to a match at Forbidden Door. Now, Daddy Ass says, I would love to be in the ring and kick your guys' ass, but I know a president. And they go to the board, and the first of the confusing parts, Tanahashi is there, and there is Scissor Ace now. Scissor Ace will join the Acclaimed in a 6-man tag to take on the EVPs and Okada. Question I have is, Okada and EVPs just asked the match. They had this already recorded and set up. Daddy Ass. He's a mind reader now. He knows exactly what's going to happen. It's very confusing. I don't understand why they can't. They had all these other talents there. Why not have them in the building to come down and then also just be there to represent in the match? These videos just made no sense tonight with the outcome what they had. Then they go back to the backstage area. And this one was actually very entertaining. It was an interview with Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange Cassidy. Mark Briscoe, of course, you know how the gift of gab. Kyle O'Reilly starts trying to do it. It's like he's the learning tree of personality from Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe is his learning tree of personality. For Kyle O'Reilly, they had a good back and forth. If you get a chance, and they do, hopefully they'll clip that out. That was a pretty funny little segment that they had. And then Orange Cassidy, of course, is Orange Cassidy. Then it went to the 6-woman tag, Mariah May. They were very good at keeping this storyline going. She comes out with Toni Storm, gets back to the back, comes out with Mina Shirakawa, and then they have their 6-man match. Mina picks up the win, and then they do the toast, Toni Storm and Shirakawa. They do the toast. They do a little bit of dancing. Then Toni Storm grabs Mariah May, dancing with her. Mina doesn't like it, goes and gets the champagne bottle, goes to Toni Storm, but Timeless ducks out of the way. And of course, Mariah May, champagne bottle to the head. She is down and out. Question is, does that take her out of the match at Forbidden Door? Does that bring her on the side of Timeless Toni Storm? Or will she blame Toni Storm for ducking? It's very interesting. At least they kept it going, though. They kept a little bit of that storyline going. Very interesting to see where they go with that at Forbidden Door. Mercedes Moné promo. She does her Mercedes Moné thing. She says, 2 belts Moné changes everything. And she will take on Stephanie Vacour at Forbidden Door. Title versus title. She has the NJPW Strong title, which is the title that Mercedes Moné was injured trying to get with Willow Nightingale. No doubt in my mind, Mercedes Moné will be 2 belts at the end of Sunday night, whatever time that is. We had the Learning Tree Chris Jericho come out. Brian Keith, of course, with the injured arm, and Big Bill. This was the second confusing video of the night for me. And again, look, small mind, big head, small mind. So they come out, and then Samoa Joe, they say they challenge Joe, Hook, and Shibata, challenge them to a 6-man if they find a partner, because Brian Keith's arm's hurt. They say, we got a partner. They point to the screen, and it's Minoru Suzuki. Suzuki comes on the screen, who's going to be their partner, supposedly. Chris Jericho does say, I haven't watched the video yet. And as soon as the video starts, Suzuki says, I don't want to team with you, Chris Jericho. I want to fight you for the FTW championship. So now the 3rd man on their team challenges Chris Jericho. Then out comes Joe, Hook, and Shibata. Jericho slaps Joe. Joe, of course, headbutts the crap out of him. And then they get Keith and Big Bill. They eliminate all of them from the ring. And Joe's music hits, and the segment's over. So far, and I don't know if they've sent anything out since I've been on air here, but they didn't announce whether it was going to be Suzuki against Jericho. They haven't said whether the 6-man is at Forbidden Door. So I'm not really sure what actually happened in that segment. There were 2 matches talked about, neither one confirmed, as I know right now it stands. Then the last time we get Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kyle O'Reilly, which was a fantastic wrestling match. You had Roderick Strong and Gabe Kidd at ringside watching the match. They're still teasing the Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly thing. Orange Cassidy was on commentary. Zack Sabre Jr. gets the submission victory over Kyle O'Reilly. Orange Cassidy goes down to check on Kyle O'Reilly. Roderick Strong gets in the ring, pushes Orange Cassidy off. Zack Sabre Jr. confronts Orange Cassidy. TMDK comes down. The music hits. Ishii comes down and is next to Orange Cassidy. So it's Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy at Forbidden Door. Will TMDK be in the corner of Zack Sabre Jr.? Will Ishii be in Orange Cassidy's corner? Nothing's been said. They are there. Also, Gabe Kidd, ringside, also in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was announced that him and Roderick Strong will be taking on the Infantry on Collision, but as the match was going on, they were kind of arguing at ringside. So a little bit of, to me, a little bit of confusion on a go-home show when you're usually tying everything up. Then you had Swerve and Ospreay against the Gates of Agony, a very good tag team match. Teased a couple little things here and there. Ospreay gets pulled off, wasn't there for the tag for Swerve a couple of times. Then Ospreay hits a super kick on Swerve. In the end, Swerve and Ospreay win. They defeat Gates of Agony. But then the interesting thing happens. Once again, Will Ospreay, trying to be the jokester, grabs the belt like he did the time before, put it on his shoulder. Remember, last time he did this, Swerve said, "You're lucky you're my friend because I'd put you in the grave." This time he did it again, and Swerve hit the knee, the back of the knee, down he went, hit him with the drive-by, and put him away, put him down. And it ends with Swerve Strickland standing over a fallen Will Ospreay as they headed to Forbidden Door. All in all, I thought it was a good show. They put a bow on a couple things, but they threw a lot of stuff at you. That was a little bit confusion as far as what we will see. Again, you've got Rampage and you've got Collision heading into where they can tie some of this up. But I thought a lot of this should have been handled here tonight on Dynamite. Dynamite has been your franchise show. Collision has been kind of building up to what's going to happen on Dynamite, and Rampage is Rampage. So we'll see what answers are done on Collision. And don't forget to follow me at Sean_Stanley11 on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And then, of course, the Stanley Media House Network on Facebook and YouTube. Please, if you're tuning in on Instagram or X right now, head over to YouTube. Go to Stanley Media House Network. Please hit the subscribe button. Appreciate all the support. And, of course, in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got TNA tomorrow. We've got SmackDown on Friday, Collision Saturday. Forbidden Door will be a late one, but we will hit it. We will go live as soon as Forbidden Door ends. So we have a lot of content coming to you right here on the Stanley Media House Network YouTube channel. So please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button. We'll let you know when we go live. In the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.